Welcome to the Life's Better podcast, Christmas edition, where we say life is so much better with God, community, and purpose. And at least on this episode, with maybe a little bit of Christmas cheer, I am Jonathan Gleason. This is Josh Doolin.
Hey.
And for those of you who are not watching on YouTube, Josh is sporting these really cool Christmas, I'm going to call them pants, but I think they're pajamas. Is that right?
Yeah. Hey, the difference between pajamas and pants is what, really? Like, just what you wear outside.
Yeah,
and if you're bold enough, anything is pants.
It really depends, because what I wear to bed, I'm definitely not going to be wearing outside or around any.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, so I'm going to let you guys just kind of have your own little imagination there. What is Jonathan wearing to bed? Well, today we are not going to do kind of our normal, well thought through, articulate, content. We're going to have kind of a Christmas theme and some fun with it. Here's the reality, though. At Christmas time, we have a unique opportunity to connect with God on a deeper level, or at least ways that we can't do it throughout the year. We also have unique opportunities to create community and have these memories that we can, or maybe even traditions that we can have throughout really the rest of our lives, reflecting on just those moments in time. And then also, even when it comes to purpose, if we're intentional, we can actually live out our purpose around this season in unique ways as well. So with that being said, we're going to get started with, it's going to be more of a Q&A style today, and we're going to start it with a game. This game is word association.
Yep.
So there are some words and phrases that are common to Christmas, and I'm going to ask you I'm just going to ask you to say the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear a word or a phrase, and you guys can follow along and think about it too.
Is it one word, or do I say it's like a story involved with the thing?
Try not to have it a story.
Yeah.
First thing that comes to your mind, and then if it's interesting enough, then we'll go a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to ask first.
Okay. What's fine with me?
First thing that comes to your mind when you hear white elephant gift exchange.
Lily's gift that's in my office. We did that with students, and she made an actual white elephant pin art thing.
Oh, is that right?
And I was like, that's the funniest thing ever. No one else got it. No one understood the joke, and
Gotcha.
I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I don't understand why you guys don't like this.
Were you calling it a white elephant gift exchange?
Yeah.
Okay, so they definitely should have.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. What do you got?
They were like, why? What is this piece for? All right. Mine is the first one is really simple. Santa.
I think a fat dude.
Fat dude.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Just a big old
how big he is.
fat guy.
Not the red coat. Not anything else. Just how big he is.
That's the first thing, and then the coat, and then the beard, and elves. But no, big dude. Big dude is what comes to my mind.
Okay.
Eggnog.
Nasty.
Not interested in eggnog.
No.
Okay, not even just a little sip. The first thing that comes to my mind is thick. It's just the thickest drink that I've ever had in my life.
The very first thing that I thought of when I tasted it was, this tastes like paint, which I've had accidentally tasted before. So
Now, was this just a little drop of paint when you were?
I was painting a ceiling in my mouth.
All right, yeah. Hopefully it wasn't lead based.
I don't know.
I'm sure it wasn't. That was
I'm alive.
Yeah, you're still ticking.
All right. Second one is Christmas movie.
The first thing that came to my mind was, oh gosh, I can't think of the classic You'll Shoot Your Eye Out. What is that movie?
Oh, that's A Christmas Story.
That's the first thing that came to mind. In fact, I saw his little grin and his glasses. Yeah. That's the first thing that popped in my head.
We watch that literally every year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, before Christmas, on Christmas?
I would say on Christmas Day, but that's mainly because
it keeps getting played on TBS or whatever channel it is. Yeah.
It plays, I think it is a 24-hour.
Yeah. It might even be more than 24 hours these days. I feel like it starts early and
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Okay, cool. Oh, wait.
No,
that's yours.
It's my turn. Okay. First thing that comes to your mind when you hear mistletoe.
Kissing. Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's the follow-up question, though. When you thought kissing, was it Emily that came to your mind? Or was it someone else? Or something else?
I think it was... Honestly, the very first thing I think of with mistletoe isn't Charlie Brown, his goal to, they talk about mistletoe and he wants to be underneath there with, the little red-haired girl
really?
and, all that stuff.
Oh,
I can't remember if that's, I don't know. I don't think of anything else because we didn't hang up mistletoe.
So so Charlie Brown's Christmas like movie.
Yeah.
That's like part of the theme of the movie.
I don't know if that is or not. I could be incredibly wrong.
If it is, that's cool. I had no idea. I just knew he was like trying to figure out the meaning of Christmas and all the commercialism. But yeah, no, if he's trying to get a little something on the side too, maybe that's kind of a fun little
very wrong about
subplot there. I don't
let us know in the comments. Is Josh completely wrong or not? All right. Well, my third one is ornament. What is the very first thing you think of?
Oh, I think of like the tree topper.
Okay.
We've got this cool star that Dana. We just got it.
Okay.
We had no tree topper last year. I think the kids made something out of paper because it's like, wait, we don't have a tree topper. And so she got one, and it's a really cool one. It lights up, and it's a star, and it just makes the tree experience all the more.
That's awesome.
Majestic.
Yeah. Emily and I just have a bow.
Okay.
That we put up there because we can every time we try to find something, it's always like super like I don't know like antique-y.
Yeah.
We don't want our tree to look like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll with a bow.
I don't know if ours is antique-y. I mean, the fact that it requires a
glows
plug-in.
up.
It glows. Yeah, probably not. Yeah. Okay, artificial tree.
I just think of my Christmas tree. Like we never had a normal like.
Never had a real one.
No.
Okay.
Not in our house.
Not even now with Emily?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're saving a ton of money, so you're not missing out.
Yeah. I didn't even know that people got real ones until I had a friend who did, and I was like, why are we pulling an actual tree into our home? Like it was weird to me, which I know most people like. We have to get a real tree.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, never.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm all about the artificial. That's just because I'm frugal and want to save money.
All right, number 4, dinner, Christmas dinner.
Okay, the first thing that comes to my mind, we've got a tradition in our family, at least with Dana's extended family. Christmas dinner is not a traditional, hey, this is what you're going to expect. It changes every single year. We always throw out a theme, like, hey, let's make it Chinese. And so everyone will bring some dish to make it
their
a Chinese
best
meal.
Chinese friend.
Yeah. In fact, one of the things is okay, if it's Chinese one year, then it'll be Italian, then it'll be, I don't know if we've gone German, but we've even done breakfast. It's always a different meal. So that's the thing that popped in my mind.
That's cool. I like that idea.
Yeah. I think a lot of it came from the fact that Thanksgiving is great, but not everyone in the family really even loves Thanksgiving food. And so instead of a repeat, it's a, hey, how about we just go for something totally random every single year.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Do you have No, I have the last one. Okay, this is the last one I have for you.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear ho, ho, ho?
I just think of, actually, the first thing that came to mind was this past week we watched the movie Klaus. Have you seen it yet? It's on Netflix.
No.
It's maybe my favorite Christmas movie I've ever seen.
Is
it's
it
an
new?
animated, it came out last year.
Okay.
But they kind of create this new type of origin story for Santa Claus, and they have an origin for his name, and everybody makes fun of his name, or not his name, his laugh, because he laughs like that, and they're like,
ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, that's what I think of.
That's good.
Go watch that movie because it's incredible.
Klaus?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I was tempted not to ask you that one. I wasn't sure if there was going to be a your mama joke in there at some point. So I'm glad you didn't go.
No.
There.
What is the first thing that you think of when I say the word snow?
Oh, snow is what you said? Man, I heard no at first. I was like, that's not Christmassy, Josh. Okay, snow. I just think cold and white. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay.
Wasn't that creative? Yeah, that's what was in my
It's because you're from California.
Maybe.
You're not really... I'm just kidding. You guys have snow.
We would
In my picture of California is just everything is LA.
So we would experience probably just as much snow in California as we do here in Kentucky, in the sense that we would go to the snow at least once or twice a year, and here it snows once or twice a year. So it's I don't know if we're missing out on much snow.
Yeah. I wonder if this year will be different, but last year felt like we just didn't get anything, so maybe you'll get something a little bit
There was
different.
one good dump that lasted for, I don't know, That's not what all right, back to the Christmas ideas here. So again, the whole idea of this podcast is to think creatively when it comes to connecting with God, developing some rich community around this time of year, and thinking creatively of how to live out purpose. So I'm going to ask Josh some questions. We'll both just kind of share some experiences that we've had in the past, deepening all three of these levels in our lives around this season, and hopefully this will inspire you guys to have a very productive Christmas time as well. So Josh, I want to start by asking you, what are some little-known Christmas traditions that you participate and look forward to at this time?
Yeah, so my family and Emily's family is huge, and they all want to always get together. So Christmas is like a week for us, which is great. We love it. But there's
when does it start?
It starts as early as like 4 or 5 days beforehand.
Is that right?
And normally like the next day after Christmas. Like it just feels weird doing Christmas stuff after Christmas Day. Yeah. But sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
So I would say one like Christmas tradition that isn't like anybody else's is my extended family is so large that we don't get each other gifts. But what we do instead is, and I get this from my grandma. My grandma, her spiritual gift is, or spiritual love language, I guess, is gifts. That's what I meant. Love language is gifts. And she buys throughout the entire year just a whole bunch of what you would probably consider to be white elephant gifts.
Nice.
And we call it Brenda's Bingo because her first name's Brenda. And she has just like everybody's name that's there, which is like probably 50 to 60 people, and we'll pull one name out of the hat every time, and when you get your name called, you get to go up and select a random gift.
Okay, that's pretty sweet.
And that's yours, yeah.
So how many things does she actually bring?
My goodness, I would say there's enough up there for everybody to go up there at least 4 times.
Wow,
so
how long does that go on? Like how long is that game?
I would say like an hour at least, maybe longer. That's the way the night ends.
Like, and it's called Brenda's
Bingo. I don't know why it's called Brenda's Bingo.
No, that's clever. I like it. That's a really cool. So if you have a Brenda in your life, suggest that she play Brenda Bingo with you.
It takes that person who's willing to just go all in on gifts too, because that's like almost 300 gifts that she's buying every single year. That I don't know. She just loves to do it. So.
Now, what would be the most expensive gift that she's brought? I'm just curious.
I would say that she does a really good job of grabbing stuff off of the like clearance rack places. But like I've left with like probably $10, $15 items.
Wow.
Like yeah.
Okay, Brenda, nicely done. All right, for me, when it comes to little known Christmas traditions, so we're developing some traditions here since moving, but when I first started thinking about traditions, we had these 2 really great ones when we were living in Oceanside. That when I started thinking about them, like it actually made me sad that we were not able to do them. One of them would be summer nights. December nights is actually what it's called. Summer nights is something we do here at the church during the summer. No, December nights, and it was at Balboa Park in San Diego. They would open up all the museums for free. Oh, wow. And they would all be a bunch of food trucks, a bunch of activities for the kids. And I don't know, if you've ever been to DC and experienced like, the Space Museum and all that. So basically it's that, but normally you would have to pay. And so for like 2 days in December, they just open it up to the public, and it's this really cool thing. And the other tradition was in Oceanside, we would do a boat parade. So they have this harbor in Oceanside, and those who participate, they basically decorate their boats, and you get your hot chocolate, and you sit on the jetty, and they come out, and it's just really fun, all these decorated boats. And that was just, we knew it was Christmas time when we were doing the boat parade.
That's cool.
My wife is brilliant, though. She's already got at least 4 things that we're going to implement this year. We were hoping to do the parade. I don't know if even they're doing the parade this year. But that was one of the things we did last year.
I'd be surprised if they didn't try to do something like that.
It's like, hey, wear the masks, stay in your car, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some fun things, and we look forward to. I think she's even got some stuff of us going down into Louisville. But we try to just make it as community oriented as possible.
Very cool.
And get out in the community, see what they have to offer, and connect with people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So the second question is, what's your favorite Christmas carol and why?
Yeah, I'm one of those people that sing Christmas carols and songs all year round. Like, they're always in my head for some reason. But the one that really, right now at least, resonates with me is O Come, Emmanuel.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it because it's, okay, first of all, I think we're all drawn to epic stories. And it just tells like this really epic story, and there's contrast. And so you have this moment of, hey, you're in despair, and then, hey, you've been forgiven and freedom, and what do you do with that freedom? Well, you rejoice. There's just a couple of lines I want to read just to remind those of you who have forgotten what the song says. Some of the contrast would be this. Israel mourns in lonely exile. So you have this picture of slavery. Well, until God's Son appears. And what happens when God's Son appears? Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. Free thine own from Satan's tyranny. Like, we're all under Satan's tyranny. But then give victory over the grave. What do? Well, then we rejoice, Death's dark shadow put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. It's just this epic story of going back and forth. This is who we are in sin, but this is who we are in Christ and in his freedom. And what do you do in that freedom? You rejoice. So yeah, O come, Emmanuel is right up there.
Yeah. I would say that my entire life, it's always been the one that I feel like most people say, at least in Christian communities, which is O Holy Night.
Yeah.
It's just the story behind it, and like how it was rewritten slightly with the extra verse, like just a rich history, and it's a really great story.
Now, in like 30 seconds or less, for those who are hearing, like, Josh, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You should remember, because he talked about it last year in a sermon series, but do you know the name of the guy?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
No. Well, I mean, if you just take that second verse and read it, it's very clear that it was written with a purpose in mind. But it was written by an abolitionist, correct? And I mean, there are also many other stories, like the story of the two sides of the war singing it on Christmas Day, and it just creating this air of we need to love each other. We're brothers. Humanity as a whole is not. We're not enemies against one another. If that makes sense. There is a greater enemy, and there's a greater God who loves us. And I just love it.
Yeah. No, I love stories that kind of get to that higher and bigger purpose for life. Yes, there's so many things that can divide us, but what do we have in common that is so much bigger than ourselves?
Yeah.
And our freedom, and that freedom that Christ gives us, oh my goodness, that's what we're all aiming for. At least we should be.
Yeah.
Awesome. My next question for you, Josh, and I'll answer as well, is worst and also best Christmas gift ever.
So this is going to be a surprise, because it really was hard to think of a worst gift, because my love language is also gifts. So like the first thing I'm thinking about isn't what was given to me, but like, I just love that you thought of me and got me a gift. But there was one time when I was really little where my parents did this like crazy thing every year where they would put out gifts like even a month ahead of time, because we would have our Christmas tree up really early. And so like all month I'd be waiting to see what is this cool thing.
Yeah.
And as a kid you think bigger present gonna be the best
of
gifts,
course.
like bigger, better. And there was this huge, like I as in my mind I was like, this could be a car. Like I understand how this is fitting here. It couldn't go underneath the tree. And I remember opening it, and in my 8-year-old brain, a keyboard was not what I wanted. Like I was in my mind, I had so many high expectations for this gift that when it was a keyboard, I wasn't sad, and I was polite, and I was like, oh yeah, great. Like I'd never expressed interest in playing an instrument before, but ends out, haha, parents, you won in the end, because I have to play music. But my best is similar. It's a redemption thing.
Now, before you go on to that,
go ahead.
What was it that you were actually hoping for? Like what? I mean, I know you didn't actually think it was going to be a car.
No, in my mind, like at the time, Legos were
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best, and so in my mind I was like, this is the world's biggest Lego set. like this is gonna be all the Legos I'll ever need for the rest of time. Like,
Nice.
I don't know.
And you got a keyboard.
Yeah, I got a keyboard.
Do you still have it?
It's at my parents' house.
Okay.
But I did use it up until like
Nice.
college and everything. But the best gift was also from my parents, and it was the guitar that I still use.
Nice.
It's the only guitar I own,
Yeah.
and they saw when I got back from an internship in Honduras that I had enjoyed picking it up. When I got back, I was like, whatever, I'll just go back to the ukulele. And a friend came over. They saw me play, and that was that. Like they decided we're gonna no matter how much it costs, we're gonna get Josh a guitar. And yeah, turned out huge investment in me and everything. So
Is it a pretty expensive?
I mean I don't think so. I think at the time it might have been, but like I've seen them now. You can get them for around $200.
Okay.
So
I mean, still
for a guitar, that's actually pretty on
Right.
on the cheap side,
Yeah.
but it's a good guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
The worst and best for me, both of them were kind of silly. So the worst has to do with like a pet peeve that I have, and I'm growing out of it. But I remember years ago, like if I was to unwrap a Christmas gift and it was like Christmas centric, meaning you could only use it and appreciate it at Christmas time, it was like well, thanks. I get to enjoy this for like the next 24 hours, and then it's gone. So like an ornament just was like, this is the lamest thing ever because I'm not going to see it. However, particularly with the ornaments, I have grown to appreciate the fact when I put it on the tree the following year, my mind goes back to that person or that experience.
Yeah.
So I've grown out of it, but that was definitely for the longest time. I was like, oh, okay, you're one of those gift givers, right? I can't even use this thing. So that would be like the worst. And when it comes to the best, I've had a lot of really good ones, but this is the one that comes out in my mind. I think I was about 7 or 8 years old, and my parents went through this weird phase. I was the youngest, so I kind of get it. Like my siblings had moved on. They're no longer doing the toy thing anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm like 7 or 8 years old. Like I'm still deep in toy, imagination, and that's what I want Christmas gifts to be. But they think, hey, he's old enough that he can appreciate like gifts that aren't toys. So I didn't get a single toy for Christmas. And again, I'm like 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm just bummed out. But my aunt came through big time. I unwrapped hers, and this is gonna date me. And I think it was even like, it probably wasn't the most up-to-date toy anyway, but it was Rambo.
Oh yeah.
So again, this is the 80s. So it was Rambo, and he's got like this helicopter, and it was honestly like the coolest thing ever. Completely redeemed an otherwise really bummy experience at Christmas with all of my parents' like clothes and books and all the other lame stuff that they got me. So I really liked Rambo and the helicopter. It was really fun.
That's awesome. All right, so mine's the next one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your strangest Christmas experience?
Okay, so I've got to be careful with this one. The strangest experience actually came in Swaziland. Dana and I, my wife and I, we did several years of ministry in Swaziland, Africa. And I'm going to say this, and I know we've got a racially charged, United States and right now, and so just know this story is not coming from a place of racism at all. Anytime you have to lead into a story like that, it's like, why do you need to tell it? Should you even tell it? No, I'm going to tell it anyway, and you guys are just going to have to hear the heart behind it. So Christmas, we've got some traditions in the Northern Hemisphere, right? You got Santa Claus, you got snow, you got all those things that are very Northern Hemisphere around December. However, Southern Hemisphere in December, I mean, you're at like 100 degrees much of the day. And so we were walking through this shopping center. We've got the grocery store and some other things, and we're just walking through, and there was this Christmas tree, and it was like, oh, cool, wow, they've decorated for Christmas. I wasn't expecting that. So they've got this big Christmas tree, and then next to the Christmas tree is Santa Claus, and I'm like, whoa, Santa Claus is there. But the first thing that kind of took me back was like, oh, it's a black Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Which again, it makes sense. I'm living in Southern Africa. Of course, there's a black Santa Claus. But again, for me, it was like, well, I'm not used to that. I've never seen that before. But then to take it up a notch, the poor guy, he's got the coat on, he's got the hat on, he's got the fake beard on, and he is dripping with sweat
Aw.
because it's like 95 degrees
Yeah.
outside, and he's like trying to be happy and
Oh,
jolly,
man.
and he's probably like suffering heat stroke. So I remember just coming around the corner and just kind of mentally trying to take inventory of what I was seeing, and it was like, this is the weirdest thing I have ever seen. So that's my
They
weird
gotta
Christmas
come up with a
experience.
new like suit that is climate fitting.
It breathes a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know.
Come on, if the guy was flying over Swaziland, he's not gonna be wearing his winter coat.
Santa has gotten rid of the coat by the time he reaches like the southern hemisphere. Yeah. That makes sense. What about you, man? Strangest?
So, I was like, I have to share mine. So every single year, so this isn't necessarily a strangest moment, but the very first time it was definitely weird. We used to eat on Christmas Day. We would go to my grandparents' house in Louisville, and we would eat a meal during lunch, and then we would go all the way to Paris, Kentucky, which is where their extended family's from, and we would eat another meal there. And we just realized, that was too much meals. We moved into Christmas Eve. Well, on Christmas Eve, we spend it with my dad's side of the family, so we have another Christmas meal that night. We were like, let's just stop. We don't want to overeat turkey and ham and like all these things. Let's do something different. And my grandparents, they're a fan of, going out to eat all the time anyway. So we would go to Louisville on Christmas Eve lunch. And every single Christmas for like the past 15 years, we always get together and go to whatever buffet we can find.
Okay.
For a while it was Golden Corral, but the one that it started to get like super strange and it felt like I was in A Christmas Story is that every single year for like the last 6 years we've gone to a Chinese buffet. And so like on Christmas Eve, we're like one out of maybe 2 families in the restaurant.
Just picking out.
Yeah, just eating whatever you want, and you have the hibachi waiter to yourself because like what else? No one else is gonna be there. Why would they? It's Christmas Eve. So yeah, that's probably strangest one.
Well, hey, and it wasn't even. Well, you know what? It was kind of racist. Why can't you have Chinese food? Man, both of our stories, they're borderline racist. Man, we got problems. Okay. Is it mine or yours?
It's yours.
Okay. What have been some of your most meaningful serving experiences?
To redeem ourselves a little
bit?
Yes,
we gotta redeem ourselves.
So let me remind myself. So, okay. I would say, every single year growing up, my family would always try to do like the angel tree experience, and get gifts for kids. But I would say that most memorable has been seeing Mission Toy Box grow every single year, and just knowing like at the very, very beginning, Brittany Woods, this mother in our church, came up to Brandon and I at the time and was just like, I know way too many people who are telling me they're not going to get toys for their kids this Christmas because it's just too difficult. And I go into my kid's room every single day and help him pick up his toys, and I see toys at the bottom of his, toy chest that have been played with maybe once or twice, and that just doesn't seem right. They didn't fit well with her. And we, prayed about it, tried to figure out what we could do, and we just put the word out like maybe in the early November, and by the end of November, so many people from our community, not even from our church, who just thought, that's such a good idea, like we feel the same way, and had blessed us with not only like used toys but new toys. And we had more than enough for the families that came in, and just seeing them come in, and some of them would bring their kids in, and their kids would be running around. They would be like, oh, Mom, like, how are we going to afford this type of thing? And like the parent would be like, no, these we're going home with a few of these. And then also my favorite part being seeing certain families give me tickets back saying, I don't want to take more than I need to, because I want other families, and I'm going to go tell my friend who I know is in awesome need to come. And that was just a cool, like, I saw the idea. I was in the meeting with Brittany's idea, and now we're 5 years in, and it's like a huge thing that our church does.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah.
Toy store at Christmas for underprivileged families.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. For me, I'm going to go to Angel Tree, actually. And this was, again, another tradition in a youth ministry that I served at. What we would do is all the small groups would actually choose a child or two that they would buy gifts for. But we made it a big deal. They would save their money, and we would bring that money. And then on a Tuesday night, we'd all go to Walmart, and all the small groups would go shopping that very night.
Yeah.
They'd go and get all the different things from clothes to toys and all of that. They'd go back into the Walmart parking lot, wrap, put them in gift bags, and then we'd actually go and drive and deliver them to the actual families. And it was
That's so cool.
chaos every single year, but then afterwards hearing the stories when we come back and have refreshments and just hear that testimony of, oh wow, it was so meaningful to do this and that, and it was, again, a social time too for the students.
Very cool.
We look forward to it every year.
Yeah. No, I remember very similar things with my youth group, and that type of stuff was just, it puts things into perspective around that year, because it's very easy to just fall into the normal Christmas routine and not do something like that. So yeah. All right, one last question. What are unique ways you live out purpose at Christmas?
Yeah, so
we're sneaking it in there. You're going to learn something today.
And if you have a child listening with you, I'm going to say a couple things about Santa that you may not want that child to hear. So that's your warning right away. So one of the things that Dana and I decided to do, we love decorating the tree. We love putting the lights on the house. I mean, we do all those things. But one of the things that we decided to do very early on was to make Jesus the emphasis of Christmas. And so one of the things that really we got a lot of pushback for was we weren't going to do the whole Santa Claus thing. Now, we weren't going to completely get rid of Santa Claus, but we were going to be upfront and honest with the kids, even at a young age, and say, yeah, Santa actually isn't real. We're going to pretend that, just like we pretend with Spider-Man and Mickey Mouse and those type of things. He's still going to be a part of the Christmas experience, but Jesus is the focus. And so kind of taking Santa off the table allowed us to put Jesus more front and center. And so even when it came to always being a part of a Christmas Eve service the night before, and then even in the morning when we would wake up, we would typically either start with reading the Christmas story, or we open up our stockings, and then after stocking time, then it was that, hey, let's sit down and let's read the Christmas story and just have a time of worship and prayer, thanking him for coming and being salvation for us. So that was just a way that we continue to live out our purpose of putting Christ at the center of our lives and our mission on this planet, and when it came to even raising our children, to make Jesus the focus. So parents out there who think we're horrible and that's just rough, yeah, I've heard it before. Sorry, that's what we did, and I think our kids are fairly well adjusted all the same.
I've told Emily this before. I can't even remember a time that I did believe in it, and it was mainly because of the same thing. Like, I remember my parents were like, "No, we get you these gifts," and like Jesus was the focus, and we would watch Christmas movies, and I remember asking them like, "How does this happen?" And they're like, don't know. Like, I think they were just on the fence about, like, well, we don't want to lie to him, but
right.
we don't want to, like...
And that was it. It was
destroy his...
So, I mean, if I lie about this, what else are they going to start questioning? I just wanted to be honest. And we'll pretend, we'll make believe. We'll still have those imagination moments, but it's not real.
Yeah. Let me remind myself. So, okay. Every single year, as long as I can remember, Christmas has just been my favorite. Because my love language is, and I've said this 3 times now, gifts.
Hint. Anyone who knows and loves Josh, Christmas is coming.
Honestly,
give him some gifts.
I mean, sure, that means a lot, but it's the one time a year where it is socially acceptable for me to love people the way I want to.
Okay.
And it not be like a weird thing. Like, if I were to just go up to a person in our church and hand them a gift any time of the year, like, they might be like, is Josh, like, hitting on me? Like why is this happening? But Christmas, I can do that as much as I want. and I can try to save money, but at the end of the day, the goal is to love on people. Yeah. And I'd say especially this year, because of just everything that's been going on. Emily and I have already been talking about ways that we can love on people better, because when we do that, we have a goal and we have a mindset that is not for us. And not only that, but it makes us happier, because if you just sit there and focus on how can I have the best Christmas, you're probably going to be disappointed this year. But if you are sitting there thinking of how can I be a better neighbor to somebody this year, how can I make somebody else's Christmas better this year, you can probably have a pretty dang good Christmas, because most people need something. Yeah. So I don't know. We've already, even last night, we were just writing out lists and stuff of things we can do. But this is easily my favorite time, because with, everybody loves to love on people, but everybody also wants to do it in a way that doesn't make them feel awkward or other people feel awkward. And so Christmas is perfect. It's great.
Now, the problem here, Josh, is you've kind of set yourself up for having to buy gifts for everyone in your life. Otherwise, maybe they're not going to experience your love.
Yeah.
There's some pressure.
It's literally just pressure on my wallet. That's all it is. Yeah.
You can start cutting really cool snowflakes out of paper, and that can be, I was just thinking of you. Here's my gift of love. Well, that's the end of our episode. We want to encourage you guys to think creatively this season in ways that will really deepen your love for God, create some rich, meaningful moments in community, and also think creatively when it comes to living out your purpose at Christmas.